everyone, welcome to Space Coast Real Talk. I'm Rachel Langley and this is Nichole Barna and we're from Florida Lifestyle Realty. Today we're going to be talking about what is going on in the condo market that has to do with Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, and our area, so Space Coast. Let's get started.
Yeah, do you want to start with some of the objections that you get?
Well, I think people are just very, very worried about the new law that has come into place. So SD 40, tragedy that happened in Miami at the condo Surfside. You know, what studies have shown is that was from deferred maintenance. To prevent that from ever happening again, Florida put laws in place that condo buildings have to maintain the buildings. So what does that mean? That means you have to pay for that, right? So what's happened over the years? Some of them have full reserves. Some of them already have gotten all their engineering reports and things look good, or they just had to do some small things. And some of them have serious repairs that need to be made, right? Like concrete restoration.
I think the biggest thing is that Florida didn't have in place where you had to make sure that you were maintaining a building. So Some condos were really great at it, and they continue to fund their reserves and make sure that they're planning out for repairs that needed to happen. And other condos, and we hear it all the time, right? I don't want my HOA to be really high. So what happens is to keep it low, they're not funding for in their reserves, they're not funding for future maintenance, and they're putting things off. And so the more you put little things off or patch and do things here or there, of course, over time, the building is going to fall into disrepair. So it's like, the difference between replacing your roof versus patching it. Obviously, replacing the full roof is better, right? But some of these condos were patching things. So this law is put into place, so we're not patching anymore. We're just making sure that the condos are up to code. And I think a lot of fear in hearing, oh my gosh, all these condos are having these engineering reports, and what is that going to cost me? It's all around the dollar sign, right? But what's great about it is that we're going to make sure that these condos are safe, so that new owners and current owners moving forward, there's no concern of something like that happening in Miami again. And you get to reap the benefit of a safe condo, a safe place to live.
That's the thing. Everyone keeps seeing these laws as doom and gloom. This is really bad. This is going to crash the condo market, but in reality, these are really great laws. This is for our safety. This is so that you can purchase a condo, or if you already live in one, that's safe. Wouldn't you rather pay over time for a new roof than pay 30 grand up front? You might not have saved for it.
Well, it's a cost, right? If you've been putting off this maintenance for a long time, of course it's going to be a cost. But it's something that's necessary, and I think right now we're in a really great place that if you are a buyer and you're wanting to get a condo, sellers understand, and they're willing to work with you to either pay the full assessment that's coming up or a portion of it. There's some wiggle room in negotiations, and if a condo's up for sale and they're with a really great realtor who's guiding them in the right way, then it's priced accordingly too. Right. So they understand, okay, these costs are coming up, a new buyer, that's gonna be a little bit of a red flag for them. Let's price this condo correctly so that we can get it sold. So I think there are benefits. I mean, obviously, yes, maintaining.
Safety-wise, yeah. If you're watching this and you're saying, oh, I want to buy a condo, I want an ocean view, I've always dreamed of that, and all of this is happening now and I'm scared. Look, not all of the condos have deferred maintenance. We have a lot of condos in Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, all throughout the Space Coast, and this isn't even beachside. This is for all condos in Florida that are older than...
It's every 30 years they have to make sure that they are going through this process.
Right.
If it's 30 years or older, and then anything 3 stories or higher have to go through this as well.
But here's the thing, we have newer condos that already from the start, they fully funded their reserves. There are condos out there that you can go ahead and buy that are already on the up and up, that you don't have to worry about HOA fees gonna go up astronomically. Like, just 2 years ago, we had HOA fees that could have been $250, and now we're seeing them at $550 because they're starting to fund those reserves. So some of the newer condos already, from the moment they started building that, they've started preparing for what they're going to have in the reserves. So you could be looking at newer condos. You could be ask your agent, what are the condos that already are fully funded, because then you'll have an idea of what the HOA fees will be going forward for a pretty long time.
The cost has to come somewhere, right? So if you're not paying into your HOA fee, then that's what we've seen in the past, right? HOA fees stay low, but then when something is in need of repair, then okay, you have this giant assessment to pay for it, because someone has to pay for these repairs. It's like home ownership costs money, and you have to understand that
single family home,
exactly,
you have to budget for a new roof, new windows,
exactly. And the same goes with a condo. Eventually things need to be repaired and maintained if you're going to have a structurally sound building, and someone has to pay for those, and the owners are going to have to pay for those. So
but if you do see something that is priced low, where it looks like a solid deal, low HOA fees, but the condo's older, more likely than not, in the next couple of years, those HOAs are going to go up astronomically, because they're going to be mandated by law to fund their reserves. And if they're at $200 a month, $250,
they have to make up the difference.
They're going to be making up the difference. If they started late, you could see something go from $250 to $800 easily, right?
Yep. I mean, I think it goes back to like the overarching theme is the condo market crashing, and the answer is no. We're always going to have a demand for condos. You're just gonna have to do a little bit more digging, I think, right now while we're going through this.
Why are we always gonna have a demand for condos?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, here in this specific area, we've got oceanfront, you've got Riverview. People want that. And that's too. We have people who come here to retire and they don't want to deal with a lawn anymore. They want the amenities of a gym and a pool. They want to walk out their door and step onto the beach. That's always going to be attractive to some people.
And so, in general too, because you're splitting those fees with your other, your neighbors, your condo neighbors, relatively it is cheaper than having a house with a pool. And when you replace the roof, it actually can be more expensive to have your own single family and paying all those out of pocket costs yourself. It's just like we keep going back to, it depends if the condo was actually budgeting for those finances from the start. Have they already started, or have they not started? And we do have some condos here that have not started. It's just a matter of educating, having the right agent, knowing what to look for, because you can get a solid condo here with an awesome ocean view, low maintenance, and
well maintained.
Or you can get one that hasn't, because you didn't do the research. So it's just really important to do the research.
And what would you say that would be?
Research?
Mm-hmm.
What work has been done? Do they have these engineering reports? They're called milestone reports, and there's like a phase 1. If your phase 1 checks out, you don't have to get the phase 2. Yes, reserve studies. Call up the HOA to yourself and ask them questions. Find out from them. There might not be any pending assessments at the condo, but they could be talking about an assessment a year from now. You want to know about that. So you don't want to just ask, is there pending assessments? You want to say, has there been talks of assessments? You want to read all the meeting minutes going back 3, 6 months, even a year sometimes.
Every condo has their own schedule on when they do their meetings. So usually we say the last 3 meeting minutes. You want to read through and see what they're planning and what they have in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some condos that are doing restoration as we speak, so the assessments have already been paid for, so you could be looking at ones like that. The ones that are well maintained, their fees are a little bit higher, but you can be comfortable going into it, hey, I can afford this now. They already have done their concrete restoration. They already did everything. We have customers, clients that we represent that we have these conversations and they understand that they can afford this and they go forward because they've always dreamed of retiring here or getting their second home with the beautiful Cocoa Beach ocean view, Melbourne Beach ocean view. It's just a matter of right building.
On the topic of fees too, I think it's very important to know what that covers, because sometimes you just see the number and you're shocked by it. But if that is going towards reserves, sometimes it covers cable and obviously insurance, internet,
water,
gym, pool maintenance, things like that, so that when you think of if I had a single family home and I was paying to maintain a pool or paying for someone to come and clean and whatnot, or I was paying for a gym membership, you have to think of those costs too. And if it's rolled into these really great amenities and things that they're doing for you, then sometimes the numbers work out and it's not as scary.
Is there a crash coming? No, there's not going to be a crash. Are there going to be an influx of some condo units coming up from especially these older buildings that have extreme deferred maintenance. Absolutely, absolutely.
When you think of a condo too, I mean, it is a luxury item, really, when you think of it. And so it's just going back to, okay, this is a cost that I have to anticipate, and I am paying to have this kind of luxury lifestyle in a way, especially if you're beachfront. I mean, that's the dream. But then going back to crashing, when we're thinking of it locally, like our economy is booming. So speaking specifically to ours.
Space Coast economy is booming. We really are. I talk to other agents in the Midwest or, smaller towns. They have no listings, and also they don't have any buyers. They have, obviously we are very well aware interest rates making a lot of homes unaffordable for a lot of people, and we understand that, So we can agree that there are some markets in the United States that are declining, that have gone into a buyer's market. The Space Coast, however, we have the beach, we have the space industry, we have tech industry, and we have the defense industry,
cruise line,
second home market, and a primary home market.
45 minutes from Orlando.
Yeah, we have people living here that work in Orlando because they want to be on the beach.
Or people who live in Orlando primarily and they want their weekend beach home.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So. As far as the Space Coast, has the market changed from the past 2 years?
For sure.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And will the condos market continue changing because of the laws that have gone into place this year? Yes.
I think that's also kind of temporary. I mean, these things, once the repairs are paid for, once the condos are structurally sound, this is going into place every 30 years. And now a law in place where we're not doing the patching. We are making sure that it's maintained so that we don't run into this again. So the next time you're doing your engineering report or your milestone check or whatever it may be, you're probably going to be in the clear, I would think, because you're saving in your reserves for these repairs. You're making them in a timely fashion because of this new law, and you're not going to come into this situation we're in now, where engineers are trying to get out there, get the reports, get the milestones going. So I think it's temporary for this kind of thing that we're going through right now.
Right. And let's also talk about assessments too. We've been talking a lot about funding reserves so that huge assessments do not have to take place, but we also are seeing a lot of condos having to levy pretty large assessments on their current owners. We're predicting a lot more older condos coming on the market in the next year because of people cannot afford these assessments.
There was one that was like $75,000 over the course of a year and 3 payments, something like that. Right. So that's a huge
That is still
financial.
A huge chunk. Sometimes you don't have to pay it all up front, and that was one that was kind of like an outlier. The $70,000 one was kind of the largest we had heard in the area. However, we have heard of some being $40,000, some are 10,
20. Some
are, a lot of condos just particular this year have had to do a small assessment. By any means, this is not small, but $1,000 assessment for insurance going up. And this is not just beachside. There's condos in Cocoa Village.
Merritt
There's
Island.
condos all over Melbourne. But there's also, condos that were built early 2000s up until right now. We have condo buildings being built.
I want to go back to what you were saying about a ton of condos coming onto the market. We anticipate that, right? Because of current owners just not having the cash to be able to pay for these assessments. So they're like, let me just get rid of it at this time, which I think is a benefit to buyers, someone who has wanted to get a condo and maybe was dealing with the unicorn years of the last 2 where they were competing with multiple buyers trying to get a condo, and now there's a really great opportunity to get in when more inventory is becoming available. Sellers are more willing to negotiate because we're not in a extreme seller's market, we're leveling out. And because of that, sellers are more willing to negotiate, like I said before, on assessments, keeping your inspection time reasonable, making sure that you have, if you're getting financing, you got an appraisal contingency in there, all these protections for buyers that were not available during that crazy time.
Right.
So it is a really awesome opportunity. If you're excited about the idea of having a condo, whether it's a vacation home or a primary residence, it's a unique opportunity to get in when these repairs are being made, sure. But again, negotiations can happen to make sure you're covering those costs and making it affordable for you.
Yes, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of condos going for sale that were used as second homes or investment properties.
Right.
Because they're like, hey, we had a great time there, you know, we wrote it out, but let's just cash out on our equity. A ton of these condos have a ton of equity. They were bought early 2000s or even 2015, 2018, were bought even 3 years ago, have a ton of equity in them. They're just saying, hey, let's just cash out now. We could even pay for the assessment with the equity from the sale and we'll still make out great, and then a new buyer can come in and also make out great. That's the perfect scenario. Obviously there are some sellers that it's their primary home and they just can't afford it, but they still have equity that they can cash out on their older condo. And it's really important to know about our areas, especially we're talking a lot about beachside right now. And if you're not familiar with the geography, because I know when I moved here, I was super confused by the geography. I was like, what? I thought like rivers were the ocean still, you know, like if you're not from Florida, you don't understand how the barrier islands work, okay? Like we're actually in Cape Canaveral at our office right now. So if you look at a map, we'll put it up on the screen via video. Sorry, obviously we can't. On Spotify, maybe someday we'll have something where you can open it, like it will be like in like, you know, Xenon, like, you know what I'm talking about?
What's that other movie? Minority Report. You know what I'm talking about? He's like,
no, I never do. I never know what movies you're talking about. From Disney?
Yes, of course I do.
Yeah, what's 100%. That movie called though? Is it Xena?
Xena of the 21st century.
So anyways, you know how they have like the hologram or whatever? And
also
it pops
Star
up?
Wars.
Maybe someday Spotify will have that and we'll just pop right out. Anyway, so you'll see we're on this barrier island right here and it starts all the way at Cape Canaveral in our county. So we're in Brevard County. So we start off in Cape Canaveral, the most northern part of the barrier island, and it goes all the way down to Melbourne Beach where the county line ends, and then it goes over into Sebastian. And it's just important to know that little strip right there, that is what we consider to be beachside. We have an awesome rental market here to offset those fees. For when you're not using it, you can go ahead and rent it. All condos have rental restrictions, but other than that, you can offset these HOA fees by using in the wintertime or using it when you want a vacation, and then putting in short-term renters and to offset those fees.
Is the condo market crashing?
Yes. Just kidding.
Not here.
No.
What did they say in Portland, right? You know, they said they're down 35%. So we are not a Portland market. We are a thriving.
Yeah, but also you looked up the numbers from Miami, and of course, that's where the condo collapsed, so I can see where there's a lot of hesitations.
Well, and I get a lot of people who are currently in Miami and they want to get out and move more north because it's so crowded. Come on up.
Welcome. Where can you find a condo with an ocean view?
For $350,000, $400,000. Yeah, we are a very affordable oceanfront town. Will that always be the case? It's perspective though.
Absolutely.
If we have people who are coming from California, Pacific Northwest, New York, it's very affordable.
Right.
They're not used to such low prices. So it's all perspective. I think to say that our condo market is crashing would be silly. We are definitely still...
It's dramatic. It's not true. Are there going to be an influx of condos coming on the market in the next year? Probably. A
lot of people, this is their second home. They don't want to pay the cash for the assessment or whatever's coming up, so they'll just get rid of it. And a new buyer can swoop in and take the advantages of a new, safer condo and potentially some negotiations for the seller to cover those costs.
Absolutely. That's all we have for you today. This is actually episode 1 of our podcast. So thank you so much if you made it this far. And we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button, like our video, show us some love. You know, did you like it? Did you hate it? Like, let us know. Give us some feedback. Call us, text us, email us. There's going to be a link below to schedule a consultation with either of us. If you want to buy a condo in Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, you want to be working with someone who knows the ins and outs of these complexes so that you can buy a safe investment. I'm Rachel Langley with Florida Lifestyle Realty.
I'm Nichole Barna with Florida Lifestyle Realty.
And we'll see you on the next one.